Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing good. Welcome to another video. We are nearing the end of October. Halloween is in a few days. I'm excited about that personally. Halloween is one of my favorite holidays, and fall is one of my favorite seasons. I hope you all are enjoying fall and the fall colors wherever you guys are in the world. I know that in some places it's more visible than in others. Like here in Toronto, the colors are just beautiful, and the weather is surprisingly pleasant. I'm always a fan of cooler weather anyway, so that's not a shock for me. And it's also very nice to go out for a walk, especially in the evening. There's such a nice refreshing breeze, and I personally love it. We've actually had snow up in Alberta today, which was, well, today as in Wednesday. This is when I'm filming the video, which will come up on Friday. And it went down to -20. So it's kind of terrifying. I hope that it takes some time to reach here because I still want to enjoy this autumnal weather as much as I can. And if you live in a country where you don't get to see, you don't get to experience autumn in such an authentic way, then I recommend you put in some YouTube videos with some nice fall ambience and take a nice coffee or tea or whatever you drink and have a nice book to read, which is what I've been doing. Uh, I've also been job hunting this week. I'm still looking for a job here, and so I'm still not working full time, so I have a lot of time to enjoy the weather around me, which is nice. So this week I want to talk about two books. So they're both very different books. One is a sci-fi and one is a fantasy, but they kind of tackle a similar theme, a theme regarding identity, but this theme is explored through very different genres and storylines. So it's just a recommendation video, and I hope you guys find it informative and helpful. And if you guys want to pick these two up, yeah. So let's begin. I'm gonna begin with the sci-fi one. Now, this one is called The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson. I've read this book earlier this year. Um, well, I didn't technically read it physically. I listened to the audiobook. I did try to read it in the beginning, but it just wasn't working for me. But when I listened to the audiobook, it was much better. I don't know why. Maybe the writing style just flowed better through narrator's voice. So, this book is a sci-fi. It deals with interdimensional travel and the multiverse. So if you're a fan of that, that's definitely a book for you. We have our main character whose name is Kara. Now, in this world, basically, it is possible to travel between dimensions. We are relatively far into the future where we have this technology readily available. But there's a catch. You cannot travel into a dimension where your alternate self is already alive, because then the world would basically malfunction in a way. So that's why the only way you can travel between your dimension and the other is if you are dead in that other dimension. Now, luckily for Kara, well, if we can call it lucky, I don't know, she has a propensity to die a lot. So in most of alternate realities, this girl has been somehow killed. So she is a rare one here because this is a rare thing for you to be dead in most worlds, and you being alive in this world that you are in now is an anomaly in a way. So there is an institution here that it basically works with interdimensional travel. They picked her up and they said, hey, you can work with us. Now, in this world right here, we basically have a very large city. And in that city, this is like a very first world city. It's a very developed city, and you have access to all resources. It's a typical representation of, I don't know, like this first world, Western world where everybody lives, well, most people, or a lot of people, not everybody, live a higher standard of living compared to other impoverished areas in the world. So We have that, and then we have the outside of the city where it is basically like a desert, and people live in horrendous circumstances. There is like a tribal system in place, and it's like, a dog eat dog kind of thing. It's a very dangerous world to be in. You have tribe leaders, you have violence, you have a lack of resources, and you have general poverty, right? So Kara was originally from the outside, but because of this, you know uniqueness that she has been invited in, and now she's a worker in the city, and she also has a chance to eventually be granted citizenship in this city. So that can, hit home for a lot of us who are immigrants, in other countries hoping to receive citizenship. So if this is something that resonates with you, this is a very nice read. Now, the way this book explores identity is that we get to explore Kara's identity in this world right now that she is in, and how her identity has been different as she discovers in different worlds. So in a different world where she did not have access to the city, her personality had been completely different. She had been around very different people, and she has very different attitudes and approaches towards things. So we kind of get to ponder about how much our identity you know, is something that is born with us. It's a temperament, and how much of it is actually influenced by the environment around us. So that is a very interesting point, and we get to see how her personality has shifted or changed according to the universe she is in. Now, we also see uh, the choices that she would make, because at some point in the story, we do realize that we have very dirty players in the game. And the main character here, she begins to question whether her work is actually something she can keep on doing, whether it is morally right, whether she is actually capable of working for this organization, no matter what they do in other universes. That's a very interesting point here. So there's a lot of talk about morality, a lot of talk about how far would we go for money, what would we do, would we still be wanting to live a comfortable life here, knowing that our comfortable life actually results in a lot of deaths or a lot of destruction in other places that are very far away from us, that are not necessarily related to us in any way. Now, we talk about this in this book, in the scope of different dimensions, because the organization that Kara is working for does not really do the best things in other dimensions, and we have a lot of situations where they do horrendous things. So when Kara actually discovers this, she is torn within herself. Like, what type of person does she want to be? Because in other dimensions, she was the type of person who would, in many cases, do anything just to survive. But will she be that person in this dimension? We don't know. So this is one another theme we are exploring. Also, we have a very nice love story between Kara and her fellow colleague. The colleague's name is Dell. She's also a very interesting character. So we have a very nice LGBT romance in this novel that I really, really enjoyed. The dynamic between the two was very nice. Dell is more of this like reserved, introverted, ice queen, rational type of girl, while Kara is more hands-on. She's more physical, she's more intense. So the dynamic between the two, love it, chef's kiss. So if you guys are interested, I would recommend giving this book a try. If you read it and you see that you're not getting into it, I recommend you also try listening to the audiobook, because the narrator in the audiobook does a great job narrating the story. And I personally loved this. This was a very nice read for me. So yeah, this was for the sci-fi book. Now, the next one is a fantasy. It's a young adult fantasy, actually. So if you're into YA, but it's not, it's not typical YA. We don't really explore romance in this one. It's more about a coming of age story. It's called Deeplight by Francis Hardinge. Now, this also deals with the notion of identity. We have our main character here whose name is Hark. He's a thief, an urchin, and he basically makes a living by stealing things, scamming people, and then he has his close friend whose name is Jelt. So these two are like a duo, but they tend to have quite a toxic relationship in a way because Jelt is very aggressive. He's a very domineering type of friend, right? And he has a tendency to kind of take control of Hark's life and do a lot of things for him, but then kind of rub it in his face and tell him, hey, I basically saved you, I did all of this for you, so now you have to do this for me. So we have this toxic dynamic going on. In this situation here, we are living in a city where it's basically and we are in an area that is by the sea. The sea is a very important theme here. And, like years and years ago, we had a lot of gods, sea gods, who lived under the water. And they were extremely powerful beings. And they were, you know, as gods as we would assume gods are, they are uh, quite arrogant, quite aggressive. They are kind of drunk in their power, you know? But eventually, these gods, there's a war and they destroy each other, right? Which is quite ironic, because we do tend to see it when you have too much like power hunger around you. You do see that there really is no winner. All we have is destruction, right? So now these gods are dead, and what is left is artifacts by these gods. And these artifacts, or whatever these things are, they can be body parts, they can be certain jewelry or whatever that belong to these gods. They are very, 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 very precious. So what happens is that Hark and Jelt, they come across one of these artifacts which have healing powers. So this artifact is basically very, very valuable. So they come across it, but little do they know that this artifact is actually something very dangerous that can have profound consequences, when used. So here again, we tackle the theme of identity. We basically see how Hark will deal with this situation. He has always been this person who would do anything for money. He would steal. He would, like he would be a con artist in many ways. He has a smooth mouth. He can, talk his way out of anything. But in this situation, how will he react? What will he do? How will he react when it, as opposed, like compared to Jelt, who, as I've mentioned, he's quite this power hungry, expansive individual. So we have Jelt pressuring Hark to go even further with this artifact, but then we have Hark who's thinking, wait, is this all worth it? And then we are seeing the consequences unfold, and we are seeing how the two of them deal with this situation quite differently. And we are, we kind of delve into Hark's inner world, where he's basically torn between his loyalty and his friendship to Jelt, and everything that Jelt has done for him as he was growing up, and his conscience and his concern for the grand scheme of things, and how is he going to deal with it. It's a very nice novel. It's quite atmospheric, so you get to kind of feel the vibe of the sea around you, the ocean, the deep ocean and the creatures there. You get to experience very interesting cultures who are basically cultures that live by the sea. You have a very interesting, actually, representation of disabled people, which I really, really loved because I do not see that very often in books. So we have basically clans here who live by the sea and who do deep sea diving and deep sea exploration as a thing. And then many of these people, they can unfortunately lose their hearing because of going too far into the sea, and their hearing will be lost permanently. And we call these people sea-kissed people. and we have a main character who plays a very important role, and she is actually deaf, and she communicates through sign language, and the way her story unfolds is very beautiful as well. She has a very interesting relationship to Hark, and yeah, I just love the representation here. So yeah, if you guys are into this type of thing, I would definitely recommend it. It's not really, don't go into this expecting any sort of romance. It's more of a coming of age thing, you know, where we're exploring Hark's identity. So yeah, I thought I would talk about these two books because they do have this theme, and some people are into sci-fi, some people are into fantasy, some people are into both. So if you are feeling like you want to read something relating to identity in a way, and development of identity, and how we would react in different situations, stories that are a bit more character focused, I highly recommend these two books. Okay, that's all for this week, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you've had an amazing week as well, and that you will have a very good weekend coming forward, and you have a nice, coming week. I'm gonna see you all next Friday for a new video where I talk about something else. And yeah, thank you a lot for giving the time to watch this video, and if you like it, please don't forget to subscribe, to like the video, to share it with your friends. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.